The sights of London. So let's read about some of the places that we can go to in London. Perhaps some of you have been already. So here are some of those places that we could visit. The Tower of London is very well known. It's by the riverside. It's one of the most important historic buildings in the world. It's an iconic symbol of London and Britain, and one of the world's premier tourist attractions. Execution inside the tower was a privilege for those of high rank. Tower Green contains the memorial to the people who died here, and if you're a tourist you can always try that. I wouldn't recommend it. The tower is home to the famous crown jewels. You can be dazzled by the 578 gems even, including the world's most famous diamonds. So you can come and read about it. Join class and come and read it with me. There are some famous ravens at the tower, and legend has it that the kingdom and the tower will fall if the 6 ravens ever leave the tower. The ravens have become one of the tower's most famous sights. The tower was heavily defended in the past. Visitors today can pace the battlements and fire full-size replica siege engines and explore the tower's history as a formidable royal fortress. There it is, there's the tower, right by the river. And there's quite a famous bridge. Probably the bridge is, if not the most famous, it's one of the most famous bridges in the world. Tower Bridge. So, hi there, Furkan. Have you been to London before?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Well, I hope you get there soon. Have a look around. So let's start with you doing some reading, please. If I move the screen back. I've read a little bit there, so, well, were you listening to my reading?
A little bit. I missed some parts.
Well, let's read it again. So, you start from the beginning again.
Okay. The White Tower is one of the most important historic buildings in the world. It's an iconic symbol of London and Britain, and one of the world's premier tourist attractions. Execution inside the tower was a privilege for those of high rank. Tower Green contains the memorial to the people who died here.
Here's a question for you, which you may not know the answer, but maybe you do. Can you name anybody or tell me about anybody who was executed at the tower?
I don't know.
I'm just trying to think about that because we were reading about Henry VIII a while ago. Were you involved in that reading about Henry VIII?
No, I missed that class.
But I remember that he created the Protestant Church, and also that was the reason for my city Canterbury becoming quite important, and he executed 2 of his wives, and one of them was the mother of Queen Elizabeth I. So one of those wives was Queen Elizabeth I's mother, and she was executed at this place. Okay, let's read on.
Okay. Shall I continue?
Yeah.
The tower is home to the famous crown jewels, bedazzled by the 23,578 gems, including the world's most famous diamonds.
You know, I'd like you to read this word. You've read it twice now. Here and here.
Most?
Now, yes, a little bit too off sounding, but it needs to be more O sounding. So it doesn't have to be fully O, like most, but it has to be a bit away from most, more most, like this.
Like
Okay.
most.
Yeah, that was quite a full most. You know, that's really sounded quite like a full most, but you don't have to go all the way. But that's good. That's good. That is correct. And most is not correct. Really, it should be some. But you can be quite softer, like most.
Most.
Yeah. Okay then. So jewels. How many jewels? How many gemstones can you name?
None.
I can name one. Diamonds. Diamonds
Oh.
are forever. Diamonds. So diamonds.
I thought you were asking specific name.
Yeah, but how many? Well, I mean, not the actual stone, because some stones have a specific name. So yes, there are some, aren't there? The jewel of India and things like this. But how many different kinds of stone? So is gold a gemstone?
No.
No, it's a precious metal. So how many gemstones can you name?
I know their colors, but I don't know exactly their names. Like green.
Sometimes they're associated with colours. For example, green and blue. Sometimes we get stones which are associated with those colours. So
Red.
yes, and I can think of one. As soon as you say red, I think of one. I also think of, instead of red, I think of wax. I don't know why. Do you know the stone I'm thinking of?
Wax. No.
But that's for a different reason. I was thinking of ruby. Ruby wax. Have you heard of her?
No.
So she's a woman, and she's quite popular on TV over here. But she's from America though. But she works with BBC and British TV a lot. Is she Canadian? I don't know where she's from. Ruby wax. But rubies are red. And what stones are blue? I know that violets are blue, but they're flowers. Do you know any stones which are blue? Who knows any blue stones? There's one I'm thinking of, beginning with E, which is green.
Emerald.
Emerald, it's one, yep. Sapphire is another stone. Emerald, sapphire, ruby, red, green and blue. Good. Okay, let's read on then, Firkin.
Okay, where were I? Okay.
Where were you? You were including the world's most famous diamonds, and then this is the bit about the ravens. Do you know what ravens are?
Bird, a kind of bird.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? What kind of birds are they? Can you describe a raven?
Kind of black birds.
They are a blackbird, but there is a bird called a blackbird, and they aren't quite like that, but they are black.
Their color black. Their color is black, and they're very common throughout the world.
Yes. Okay. So read about those.
Okay. There are some famous ravens at the tower. Legend has it that the kingdom and the tower will fall if the 6 ravens ever leave the tower. The ravens have become one of the tower's most famous sights.
Now, how did you say most? It did sound a bit like most.
Most.
Yeah, well, you know, yeah. I think that actually, probably the way to fix this is to just exaggerate it and say most. You know? But then, and then later it will slip into its rightful place. But you have to move away from most, because actually there are 2 words which are often mistaken, like most and only is not correct. Only, most, and as I said, you don't have to say only. You don't have to say only. Most. You don't have to say oh, but you can say something like that. So only, most.
Most. Okay.
Right, so where are we now? Yes. The tower was heavily defended.
Okay, the tower was heavily defended in the past. Visitors today can pace the battlements and fire full-size replica siege engines and explore the tower's history as a formidable royal fortress.
2 questions for you. First of all, what is sieging? Siege.
Attacking a castle, yeah. It's coming from medieval age, I think, with
Yeah, and you say
catapults.
attack. You say attacking with
Not,
catapults and
not
things, but I think
exactly
that's not
attacking.
really a siege. It's something related to
Surrounding the
castles.
castle,
Yes.
blocking its support, cutting off.
Yes, that's right. It's about choking it to death, effectively, by cutting off all of the supplies. That's right. And the word formidable. Now, do you remember we spoke about the difference between c'est formidable in French and formidable?
No, I wasn't in that class.
Well, in French it means something like great, wow, formidable. But in English it's something like something strong and powerful, maybe even against us. So a little bit different in meaning. So let's finish off there, the medieval.
Okay, the medieval palace contains fabulous interiors. Discover what life was like and experience the sounds and aromas of life in a surprisingly luxurious medieval household.
Great. Okay, and here's a photo. Before we move down, well, there it is, the photo there. Can anyone ask me anything that they need to ask me? Is there anything to say about the tower and the words on the screen there? So I'm going to look for a word, and my word on the screen is something about bright lights shining in your eyes. Sometimes if a cat runs at night in front of a car, for a moment he can't see properly because the bright lights are shining in his face. What word is talking about this here? Hazel's got it. Hazel is very good from the outside, isn't she? Hazel. Hazel, I was going to make a joke then about Hazel, but maybe I shouldn't. I was going to say, Hazel, you're nuts.
Hazel is inside the class.
Oh, is she where? Really? Yeah. I don't believe it. Oh, yes, so she is. Whoa, Hazel, isn't it? Hazel, hi.
Hello.
You're inside today?
Yes.
Did you get my little joke, Hazel, you're nuts?
Yes. You may call me Hazel, but in my language, you have to pronounce Hazel. But I don't mind. Hazel. I don't mind if you make me nuts.
So you're not nuts? Okay, good.
No.
Hazel. Okay. So, where is my word then, please, everybody? The cat is running at night across the road, but the car is shining its headlights straight at the cat. And the cat, for a moment, or the rabbit, let's say, it usually happens to rabbits. The rabbit is suddenly blinded by the bright lights. What's the word?
You said that, dazzled.
Dazzled, yes. Did I say the word? I shouldn't have done. Okay, so I can do one of those from another word on the text. Choose any word on the text and talk about it like that until everybody else can guess.
Okay. We use that word, especially we are talking about Middle Age, the Middle Age of the Europe.
And now there's two different things here, and I think you might have the wrong one. There's Middle Age, like me, and there's Middle Ages. Which one are you speaking about?
Middle Age.
Yes, the Middle Ages is, or Middle Age, okay. The Middle Ages in Europe, those times a long time ago, are called the Middle Ages. Not the Middle Age. Middle Age is an adjective. Middle-aged man. Somebody who might.
Europe.
Yeah, well, Middle-aged Europe. What is that then? You're speaking about the past here.
Yeah. We use that word, especially talking about Europe in the Middle Ages.
But do we use it in singular form like this? Because for me, I'm looking. Let's check the dictionary because I speak about the Middle Ages, and middle age. Is something just to describe somebody who's in the middle of their life, maybe 40 years old, 40, 50, middle-aged.
Oh yeah.
But Middle Ages, I would use the plural Middle Ages for this expression about history. Okay. Not middle age. But I'll check it later, but I've never heard it anyway. So Okay, let me go back to your word. Let's everybody try and find this word. Say more then. What were you saying and when I rudely interrupted you?
No problem. I was saying that we use that word especially when we're talking about the Middle Ages in Europe. Actually,
Fortress?
no. It's
Battlements?
Is it a nasty, bad word like the devil?
No, it's in the text.
Yes, I think I know the word, but I'm not going to say mine. It's a cross between the sea around Italy and something very devilish. Maybe. Who knows? Who's going to guess Firkin's word? Speaking about something historical, Middle Ages, related to the Middle Ages, maybe. Is it near the end?
Yes.
Yes, I think I know the word. Hazel, do you know the word?
No, I thought it's battlements, but it isn't.
Okay, I'm going to say what I think it is then. I think it is medieval.
Yeah.
Medieval. The medieval
yes.
palace. So I shall do another one, and then we'll move on to some more reading, and you can read next, Hazel. So my last one is, let's find a nice one. Yes, if something might be expensive and quite plush and quite
luxurious.
Luxurious. Okay, good. Hazel, I'll move the screen down now for you.
Okay.
And we're going to go past the tower. There he is. There it is. And now we've got more about the tower actually to read. So let's read the next. I can never quite. I'm always dancing when I expand the text. Can't quite get it right. But can you see the text there?
Yes, I can see.
Good. So over to you then.
The Tower of London has been serviced as a royal palace, prison, armory, and even a zoo. The ancient stones reverberate with dark secrets, priceless jewels glint in fortified vaults, and pampered ravens strut the grounds. Constructed over 900 years ago by William the Conqueror, the Tower of London is steeped in a rich history. This fortress was expanded by many medieval kings and is a grand structure used by royals through the years of a refugee and power base. The tower is still home to Her Majesty's crown jewels on display for visitors to see, and the infamous beefeaters tasked with the job of guarding them. Okay.
Let me just hold you there for a minute longer, and then you can go on in a moment, but I want to speak about some of this. So first of all, let's speak about some words and how you pronounce them. So how did you say this word here?
Ancient.
Ancient, yes. And now this one is quite interesting, this one, because we know the root of the word is famous. But
infamous.
Infamous is one of these cases where when we play with a word and we change it slightly, then it changes for me completely. And I'm going to just check in my dictionary to see if it always does that for different readers, different speakers. So I'm going to have a look now. If I say infamous, so I say infamous, but because infamous is actually changed like this because, for a start, it's not exactly the opposite of famous, because if you're the opposite of famous, you're just unknown, aren't you? Yeah. So infamous, what does infamous mean?
Very well.
So famous is well known, but
yes.
What can infamous be?
This is opposite.
But if you're the opposite of being famous would be Fred Bloggs. We don't know anything about him. He's just a boring man who lives down the street, but that's not infamous. So infamous isn't quite the opposite. Who can help me with that word, infamous? It's almost related to famous more than the opposite. It can be infamous in a negative way sometimes.
Like notorious?
Yes, a bit like that. It can be So it's interesting. I can't open my dictionary at the moment, but can you check it and see what the pronunciation is? Because I say infamous. Infamous.
It says infamous.
Infamous.
So even your dictionary says that.
Yeah.
Okay. So you know, I like to check how people around the world say it sometimes, because sometimes it's usually I can predict it quite well, but occasionally I hear something I haven't heard. So now, infamous. So can you carry on reading, please, Hazel?
Yes, the White Tower is the huge and beautiful stone building in the middle of the site. Currently, it hosts the exhibition of Tudor, Stuart, Hanoverian, and Windsor. I don't know Hanoverian.
These are all Hanover. Is which king was
Hanover,
that?
yes.
They're all different kings. So I remember James Stewart, Stuart, Tudor, Henry VIII. Windsor is the current Queen Elizabeth. Is Windsor?
Windsor, I know Hanoverian. I don't know.
I don't know which king that is either. Different kings and queens.
Hanoverian and Windsor arms, and armor fit for a king. This vast collection begins by exploring armor created for both the battle and sports fields, with an unmissable chance to see Henry VIII and Charles I's spectacular armor. Situated in central London, just a stone's throw from the River Thames, the Tower of London is one of the city's premier attractions. With so much on offer, it's no wonder it's popular with visitors.
Can I just ask you first whether you have heard about throwing stones in distance?
Yes, very close.
Yes, just a stone's throw.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I've forgotten what I was going to ask you. There was another question I had in mind. Yes, about words. Can you tell me which word might even be used in cookery? Let me see if it's still on the screen. I've lost the word now. Is it there on the screen? I'm looking for a word which might mean soaked in. Soaked in. Let me see if it's moved. I might have moved it on the screen. Where's it gone? Maybe I'm thinking about the last paragraph. Let me just check quickly. Back here. No, I've lost my word. Come on, where's my word gone? And it meant soaked in, like full of something, but often it's used in a liquid kind of sense. Like if something is penetrating through something and it's full of it. You feel it and you can smell it maybe. And in cookery, it could be used to speak about liquid things such as soup. Yes, it's there. It's on the page. And it is used in a metaphorical sense in relation to rich history.
I don't know. I can see.
I'll show you the word I'm speaking about here. Steeped in a rich history. Have you heard this before?
No, I haven't heard this word.
See if it's in your dictionary. Immersed, yes.
Immersed.
Soaked, yes. Immersed, steeped in. So it's a kind of metaphor comparing, rich history, like you're immersed in it. We often use that metaphorically. So now I'll do one more, and then I'd like you to choose an interesting word or two. So my next one will be something that makes people want to go and see it. Everybody must see it. It's actually making people want to go and see them, these places. It almost works like a magnet. Yes, you said it. That's right. That's right. You got it. Attractions. So can you find a word like that, please, from the text and start to describe it?
Okay. To spoil.
I'm looking. To spoil.
ravens are spoiled. Pampered isn't spoiled?
Ah, but I thought spoil was your clue.
Yes, spoiled was my clue.
Ravens are spoiled. Let's have a look.
Pampered, spoiled. I'm not sure if it is correct.
Yes, you're speaking about. I see the connection now. Yes, I can see your connection between to pamper and to spoil when with children, perhaps.
Yes.
But if you spoil the broth or spoil something that you're doing by making a mess of it, then it's not related to pampered. But I suppose pampering children might spoil them.
Yes.
Although it's slightly different, isn't it? Can you see a difference there?
No.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Furkan? About pampering and spoiling?
I don't know exactly what the pampered means, but spoil usually used in like messing something up, like don't spoil the broth.
Yeah. And what about if you spoil children? You might spoil children by pampering them too much, but the two words are not directly the same, not exactly the same. So what is the difference between pampering children and spoiling children? Yeah, I think if you spend too much money on children and do everything they want and don't look after them carefully and just make sure that everything they ask for they get, it has a bad effect on them, and that's spoiling them. But pampering could be used in a much more positive sense, I think. Yeah.
In the dictionaries, they're both used with indulgence, so it means they're both bad in meanings.
Yeah, but if you spoil somebody, then the word spoil is showing that indulgence will have a bad effect on somebody. But you could pamper somebody and say, I hope you enjoy all this pampering. So that word is focusing more on the positive aspects of the pampering, and spoiling is the negative side of what might happen. But so they are a little different, I think.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, Kubra, are you here on mic? Why have we got such a small class again today? I like a full room. I like 8 people, but it's fun sometimes to have a small class. But so back with you, Furkan. So we'll move down. No, sorry, I've lost my place. We haven't finished this yet, have we? Where are we, Hazel? Where are we now?
We finished.
All the way to the end?
Yes.
Oh yes, Hanover. All right, so let me move the screen. We did finish it. And I've moved it back. Now, the Thames Barrier is very interesting. I think first we'll have a look at the picture. I have a picture of it. Here it is. Have you heard about this place?
No, not me.
Me neither.
Looking at the picture, what do you think it is? And the word barrier.
For the River Thames to not flood the city?
Yes, exactly. It's very interesting, and it's quite an expensive construction. And can you see how it's working there? No. What do you think happens? What do you think they do?
Is there a flood danger in London?
Oh yes, and actually the whole of the city, the building you see behind is not the city. That's the Millennium Dome and the New Canary Wharf Docklands area, and so that's a more modern kind of financial district. The old city area behind that is at risk of flooding. It is at risk of flooding because London is very low, and the River Thames is tidal. Do you know what tidal means?
Is there a connection with tide?
Yes, it's a surge when periodically the water rise and fall especially sea or ocean.
That's right, it's the adjective of this word. So, can you see what's going to happen when the water further downstream? Actually, when we look at this photo, we are looking upstream or downstream, do you think?
Downstream, maybe.
No, we're not. We're looking from the sea. We're looking upstream. So the barrier is protecting those buildings behind it, and the sea is behind us. And imagine that the tide rises where we are standing, taking this picture. What will happen?
I don't know.
Those barriers will twist or rotate, and then they will connect. So we won't be able to see through, and they will form a wall and then hold back the water. Let's read on about it. Let me find the text here, and we'll find out about it. It's very interesting. Potential accident and the Thames Barrier. So here we are, the Thames Barrier. Could you read there from London is quite?
Okay. London is quite vulnerable to flooding. A storm surge generated by low pressure in the Atlantic Ocean sometimes tracks eastwards past the north of Scotland and may then be driven into the shallow waters of the North Sea. The storm surge is funneled down the North Sea, which narrows towards the English Channel and the Thames estuary. If the storm surge coincides with a spring tide, then dangerously high water levels can occur in the Thames estuary. This situation, combined with downstream flows in the Thames, provides the triggers for flood defense operations.
Great. So now, in that paragraph, there is one word which describes a narrowing, something which gets narrower and narrower. It could also be a noun. There's a noun form of it, something which is used in kitchens to fill containers.
Mm-hmm.
Funnel,
exactly.
Funnel, yes, funnel. And now, the word vulnerable, I said at risk. There is a verb beginning with J. Does anybody know a verb that begins with J? To put at risk.
Jeopardy.
Jeopardy is a noun, so what's the verb?
Jeopardize.
Jeopardize, yes. Okay, so let's change over, the two of us then. It's quite cosy, isn't it, just us? So, Azel, you're on the next paragraph. I'll just shift it down a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, there we are.
According to Gilbert and Horner, on 7th of December 1663,
Samuel Pepys, he's a diarist. He used to write that. Have you heard of him?
The name, yes.
Yes, Samuel Pepys, yes.
Samuel Pepys recorded in his diary, there was last night the greatest tide that ever remembered in England to have been in this river at Whitehall, having been drowned. In 1236 the river is reported as overflowing, and in the great palace of Westminster men did row with wherries in the midst of the hall. Gilbert and Horner, 1984. 14 people died in the 1928 Thames flood, and after 307 people died in the UK in the North Sea flood of 1953. The issue gained new prominence.
Brilliant, nice. Let's hold this a moment, because I want to tell you one thing. That is that the barrier was built for safety because of the risk, but actually one day, I can't remember when, but you can find it on the internet, one day it did actually come into use. You know, it was actually needed, and it was essential, and it worked. And they say that that day, if the Thames barrier hadn't been there, it could have been devastating, absolutely devastating. And so all of the money that was on it was worthwhile. Okay, so yes, read on the next small paragraph, please, Hazel, the threat.
Yes, the threat increased over time due to the slow but continuous rise in high water level over the centuries, 20 centimeters per 100 years, and the slow tilting of Britain up in the north and down in the south, caused by post-glacial rebound.
Yes, now, tilt is an interesting word. That reminds me of a pinball machine. What is a tilting action?
I don't quite know this.
Something like tipping, tilting. When something should stay horizontal, but you lift one side, but not the other.
Leaning, yes.
Yes.
I remember now.
So actually, the east side of Britain is constantly going down. Right. So, Firkin, can you read the early proposals?
Early proposals for a flat control system were stymied by the need...
Stymied. And you can guess the meaning later. Stymied.
Okay, stymied by the need for a large opening in the barrier to allow for vessels from London docks to pass through. When containerization came in and a new port was opened at Tilbury, a smaller barrier became feasible, with each of the 4 main navigation spans being the same width as the opening of Tower Bridge.
So now the only thing we can really do here is try to guess the meaning of stymied before we look it up.
Mm-hmm.
So have a look at the context there and try to tell me what you think stymied is.
Blocked, maybe?
Exactly, blocked.
Yes. I don't see it used very often, but it is used. It is used. And I'm trying to think about when people use it. Stymied. Yes, there are a few words. There are interestingly, there are lots of different words for the same thing, and people choose a word sometimes. I don't know why they say stymied. It's quite a strange looking word, isn't it? Blocked. Yes, stymied. Right. So let's go on to potential accident.
Who, me? Potential accident. An incident which had potential to be catastrophic for London occurred on 27th of October 1997. The dredger, motor vessel St. Kite, sailing in thick fog, collided with one of the Thames barrier's piers. As the ship started to sink, she dumped her 3,300-ton load of aggregate, finally sinking by the bow on top of one of the barrier's gates, where she lay for several days.
Just a moment then, that's good reading, but let me just say some things. Interesting that you looked up MV, or you guessed what it's motor vehicle. Now the word BOW is interesting because there are 2 words BOW. There's bow and arrow, tie a bow with a ribbon in your hair, and there's bow down to the king and queen. You know, this bowing to the king and queen.
Yes.
And there's a bow, the back end of a ship. So which of these is it?
Second one.
It's bow. So that's bow, yes, the back end of a boat, I think, the back end of a ship. Another thing, the number 3,300 ton, sometimes we say and, but after hundreds. So 3,300 and something. So we don't usually say and after the thousands. And then the other thing, aggregate or aggregate. Which is it? Aggregate or aggregate?
Probably aggregate, because I
Yes.
read aggregate.
Yes, because usually nouns are pronounced that way, aggregate. And so, okay, let's go on.
Okay. The barrier. Where am I? Where am I, Furkan? Initially, the gate could not be closed as it was covered in a thick layer of gravel. A longer-term problem was the premature loss of paint on the flat side of the gate caused by abrasion. One estimate of the cost of flooding damage had it occurred was about £13 billion. The vessel was refloated in mid-November 1997.
Okay, let's have a look at some of those words again. So I'll go and highlight one. So now, initially the gate could not be closed as it was covered in a thick layer of, how did you say?
Gravel.
Gravel, like cat, gravel. Yes, it's not grave, is it? Because it's not.
It's a rock, pebbles.
Yeah, and the reason it's not grave is because the ul at the end is not a magic e like grave. It's just another thing, gravel. Okay, and this word is interesting because I think your sound was good. I say premature, but premature. I just does it? What's the sound in your dictionary? Is it premature or premature? Can you have a look? Because I say premature loss, premature, but I think maybe you might find another way. Can you tell me what you find? Do you find premature loss?
Premature, yes.
Premature.
You got premature, yeah. Maybe sometimes people do say premature. I say premature, but the stress pattern in either case is similar, but premature. I would say a longer term.
I'm interested in British pronunciation. I'm not interested in American pronunciation.
Okay. Well, I think actually that the stress pattern should always be the same anyway here. So then what's the other one I was going to say? Yeah, this word we've been speaking about a lot recently. So how did you pronounce this word?
Estimate.
Yes, that was good. One estimate. Yes. So it's now a noun. One estimate of the cost of flooding damage, had it occurred, was around £13 billion. The vessel was refloated in mid-November 1997. Good. So, Furkan, the next part of this barrier.
The barrier was closed twice on November 9th, 2007 after a storm surge in the North Sea, which was compared to the one in 1953. The main danger of flooding from the surge was on the coast above the Thames barrier, where evacuations took place, but the winds abated a little and, at the Thames barrier, the November 9th, 2007 storm surge did not completely coincide,
Yes.
with high tide.
Yeah, I'll read that through because that's got some interesting words for pronunciation. So I'll try and read that through now. So the barrier was closed twice on the 9th of November 2007 after a storm surge in the North Sea, which was compared to the one in 1953. The main danger of flooding from the surge was on the coast above the Thames barrier, where evacuations took place. But the winds abated a little, and at the Thames barrier, the 9th of November 2007 storm surge did not completely coincide with high tide. So they were lucky that the high tide didn't quite coincide with the storm surge. If they come together, you can have a nasty event, a nasty, well, catastrophe, I suppose you could have. So don't need to play it down. A catastrophe, it would be absolutely catastrophic. So, have we got anybody new here? Let's see who's just joined. We've got a few people in the room now. That's good. We've got a red bird, Enrique. Who's on the mic in the room at the moment? Who's joining the three of us here? Enrique, are you here?
I joined.
You're very, very faint. I can hardly hear you. Yes, okay, I'll give you a second. And what about Kubra? Are you here at all? Can't hear you yet. And Sabori, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
So would you like to take over the reading for us now? Thames Cruise?
Okay. You want me to read the...
I would like you to read the passage about Thames Cruise.
Okay, Thames Cruise. A Thames River cruise is without doubt one of the best ways to see London. Weaving through the heart of the city and past so many of its most famous attractions, see and experience the sights and splendor of this great city from the relaxed comfort of a city cruise modern, all-weather boats with open upper decks and spacious lower salons with panoramic windows highlights of a Thames River cruise includes the sight of the cutty sharks.
It's not a shark, it's a sark. It's something to do with it. It's a tea clipper in Greenwich.
Cutty sark,
Cutty sark, yes.
Canary Wharf.
Do you know this word wharf? What is a wharf? Does anybody know this word wharf?
No.
It's a big storage building that the docks use on the riverside. Actually, the gallery that I mentioned, the Tate Modern, was a wharf at one stage, or a kind of storage building, maybe not a wharf, but wharfs are big buildings to store things. Okay, carry on.
The Tower of London, Tower Bridge, a retired battle cruiser, HMS Belfast, St. Paul's.
St. Paul's, Saint. This is short for St. Paul's. It can be street or saint, and we know here it's St. Paul's Cathedral.
St. Paul Cathedral, Shakespeare's Global and the Tate Modern. From the boat you get a closer view at Millennium Footbridge, controversially built for the turn of the new century, and of course Westminster Abbey and Big Ben, both recognized worldwide as the iconic buildings of London.
Okay, this word, how do you say this word?
Abbey.
Abbey, yes, Abbey. And this word?
Booth.
Both.
Both.
Yes, there is a word booth. Does anyone know a word booth? I think it has a different spelling.
Booth.
A telephone booth. A booth. What is a telephone booth?
A place that you talk with telephone.
Yes, it's a box that you walk into and you call somebody on the phone. And the red ones that we used to have in London and around in all of England are quite pretty, I think. Not so practical, very heavy, and get vandalised sometimes, but they were very nice. Okay, so let's just move on because we want to crack on and do as much as we can. So I'll move the screen and then mute myself and listen to somebody else now. Westminster Abbey. Westminster Abbey there. So, Enrique, are you here?
Yes.
No? Yeah, could you read that for me? I'm going to mute myself. I'm a bit noisy with the builders. So.
Okay. What's the next?
Enrique, just a short walk. Read from the beginning there, please.
Okay. Just a short walk from the Thames. Westminster Abbey is a must-see and significant structure in British history. The beautiful Gothic church is an UNESCO World Heritage Site, popular with many visitors to London. Kings, queens, statesmen, aristocrats, poets, priests, hermits, and villeins are all part of the church's fascinating history, many of whom were buried at the Abbey, including Charles Dickens, Geoffrey Chaucer, Dr. Samuel Johnson, and Charles Darwin. There is a special scientist's corner at the church, which is home to a memorial for Isaac Newton. Since the crowning of William the Conqueror in one oh
They say 1066 for this one.
okay
1066. It's a famous date.
1066. Westminster Abbey has been the nation's coronation church. Many kings and queens, including the current reigning Queen Elizabeth II, have been crowned on King Edward's chair. The Abbey has also seen many royal weddings and funerals throughout the years.
Okay, let me just highlight some words, and I want anybody to just say how we pronounce these words. So let's look at some of these words. So just a short walk from the Thames. Westminster Abbey is a must-see and significant structure in British history. The beautiful Gothic church is a UNESCO World, this word, heritage site, popular with many visitors to London. Kings, queens, statesmen, this one?
Aristocrats.
This one?
Priests.
This one?
Villains.
And
Heroes.
all part of the church's fascinating history, many of whom were buried, you can say that either way, at the Abbey, including Charles Dickens, Geoffrey Chaucer from Canterbury, Dr. Samuel Johnson. He created the first dictionary, and Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin's contribution to science was about, what was that all about, Thurkan?
Evolution.
Evolution, yes. And there is a special scientist's corner, I think there should be, at the church, which is home to a memorial for Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton is a
Physician.
a physicist.
Physicist.
Yeah. And what's the difference between a physician and a physicist?
Physician is a doctor, medical doctor.
Usually it is. Well, it is now. Since the crowning of William the Conqueror in 1066. This date is interesting because we always, 1,000 years ago, would say 1066 and 1252, but now we are in 2012 or 2013, but I'm still saying 2013, and some people do. But soon it will change. I think it changes fully when it becomes quite difficult to say 1066, so 1066. So we will be saying 2022, probably, 2020, definitely, not 2020. So soon it's going to change. But right now you can see people saying the year both ways. Westminster Abbey has been the nation's coronation church. Many kings and queens, including the current, how do you say this word?
Reigning.
It's like it's raining. Queen Elizabeth II is reigning. The reign of reign. It's a homophone with reign. Have been now. How do we say this?
Crowned.
Crowned. Yes, not crowned, but crowned. On King Edward's chair. The Abbey has also seen many royal weddings and funerals through the years, or throughout the years. Good. So I think you can finish that, Enric. You can read the next bit, and let me listen to those lines, please.
Okay, London Bridge experience.
Stop a moment, though. Please just stop a moment. I want just to say one thing before you start. And that is that a lot of people say London, but it's not "o" at the beginning. Like lots of these words, it's an kind of sound. So it's London. La, like love. La, like love. Come. London. London.
Okay. London Bridge experience. The London Bridge experience is a two-part tourist attraction situated within the Arch of London Bridge. For the second year running, it
now
has won
get the plural, because you had one arch, but I see more than one. So how do you say it?
Arches.
Arches, yes, the arches.
Arches of London Bridge. For the second year running, he has won Best Year-Round Scare Attraction at the Screamy Awards. Firstly, enjoy a fascinating trip back in time as the London Bridge experience.
Delves. Delves.
Debris.
Do you know this word delve? To delve into something. Delves through.
No.
If you're delving, who can tell me what you're doing if you're delving into or through something? What are you doing?
No, I don't know.
You're really looking through something in detail, delving, and so usually you're putting your fingers into the ground or looking through, pushing things around, having a really good look down there. Rummaging is another word like this.
Digging into?
Digging.
Yes. Yeah, and another thing I wanted to say, Enrique, was you got London, right? That's good. Awards, the awards, Screamy Awards. Right, and now, so can you read London Bridge Experience, Delves?
London Bridge experience, Delves.
And carry on reading from there. So keep going from there. Delves through the history of the bridge, and then continue.
Okay. Through the history of the bridge, from Druids.
Druids. What's that? Druids. Look at the capital D. That gives us a clue here, because Druids is a capital D, just as V for Victorians is capital too. The capital tells us something, and we know this word. Some of us. Who can tell us the meaning of Druids? Think about Stonehenge and other things. Druids.
No, I don't know.
It's an ancient pagan religion before Christianity took over, and they actually the Romans didn't like the pagan religions. Well, Druids were part of the pagan religions, so I can understand that you don't know it. But Stonehenge was created, I think, 3,000 years ago, and they had these Druids there. So all the way through time, from Druids through to Victorians.
Meeting Vikings, Romans, and some creepy medieval characters along the way. Featuring real actors, stunning special effects and animations, this is unique interaction adventure really does takes you back in time. Then, if you are brave enough, hit into the second attraction, the London Tombs. Head into the second attraction, the London Tombs.
Tombs. Tombs. What are tombs? Tomb. The tomb of Tutankhamun. The tomb. It's a place maybe underground where people are buried who are very important, like Tutankhamun, the tomb, and it's the side of these tombs are big stone walls and things. Tomb Raider, yes.
Okay.
I'm not a Tomb Raider because I think being a Tomb Raider is illegal in this country. So read on. It's a terrifying encounter. See you later, Furkan. Thank you for coming. See you later. It's a terrifying encounter.
Terrifying encounter with the undead and curdling.
Blood curdling. Blood curdling. Now that's a very interesting expression. Can you tell me what that means? Blood curdling.
No.
Curdling is something that happens to maybe milk when it turns a bit into butter or goes lumpy because of shaking and mixing or putting acid into it. It goes. Do you know milk can have these kind of curdles in them where they go, it turns lumpy and starts to go bad? Or if you actually mix it and start trying to make butter, then it starts to curdle. So if something is blood curdling, what do you think it might mean in relation to undead and terrifying?
No idea.
I'm not sure.
It means scary. Blood curdling.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes, do you know any other expressions? There's some expressions when you're about being very scared, about your backbone and your spine, like a chill ran down my spine. there are different expressions. So blood curdling means very scary. A blood curdling adventure you will never forget.
Okay. A blood curdling adventure you will never forget. Can you handle it?
Can you handle it? Yeah, can you handle it, or is it too much for you?
Okay. The new 2010 show introduced a newly
Refurbished. If something is refurbished, do you know what happens if it's refurbished? It's all regenerated, refurbished, new things inside there, a newly refurbished set design, and the latest in digital animatronics. That's a kind of composite word, isn't it? Also available are the Guardian Angel tours for younger visitors, if you're under 11, the under 11s. Special guides will accompany younger, timid visitors around the tombs to protect them from anything too frightening. What do you think timidity and timid means? If you are timid, what are you?
Are scared.
Yes, not brave enough. Yes. Timid. Timidity, brave. What is the noun of brave?
Bravery.
Bravery, yes. You can visit the London Bridge Experience and the London Tombs for free with a London Pass. That's a fantastic saving of over £21. Right, thank you very much. Windsor Castle is outside on the west of London. Yes. Really, it's outside London in Surrey, but we'll maybe read some more about that another time. So I have to go off now to get my boys from school. So see you again. Thanks for coming into the room.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye all.
Thank you. Bye.